Ritchie Blackmore remembers that he originally heard Tommy Bolin on Billy Cobham's Spectrum album. He was impressed, thinking, "Who is this guy?" Then he saw Tommy on TV and he looked incredible, Ritchie recalls, like Elvis Presley. While Blackmore was still with Deep Purple, he mentioned Tommy Bolin with praise in the interview, which was then published in August 1974. And Ritchie said, "There's a new player out at the moment called Tommy Bolin." It was spelt wrong as the interviewer hadn't heard of him, "who can combine jazz and rock very well." When this interview was done, Blackmore was still in Deep Purple, so it must have been Ritchie who first brought Bolin to Purple's notice. On his work with Billy Cobham on Spectrum, Tommy Bolin commented, "It was really weird. I did sessions with Billy some time ago. They were like demos. This was before Mahavishnu. They were instrumentals and he dug the way I played. Then he called me up out of the blue 6 months later. I was starving to death at the time. That album helped me a lot. That's how Ritchie first heard about me and why he called me up. Spectrum to me was a kind of new music that could have a wide appeal. It was not as complicated as the Mahavishnu Orchestra, but after that he turned right about and went back to a jazz thing with horns." In 1975, Ritchie Blackmore and Tommy Bolin both lived in Malibu, California. Tommy met Ritchie at a party and invited him to his house to check out his favorite Stratocaster guitar. So, one day, Ritchie Blackmore went to Bolin's house to see his guitar. Ritchie recalls, "I remember he would always invite me out to his house in Hollywood to see his guitar. One day when I went to his place, I walked in and tried to find him, but no one was around. There was no furnishings, nothing. I stayed there for about 10 minutes before he finally appeared. He showed me his guitar, and the strings must have had a quarter-inch of grime on them, as though he hadn't changed them in 4 years. I asked him when was the last time he changed strings, and he said very seriously, 'Gee, I don't know. Do you think I should change them?'" Tommy Bolin actually believed that Ritchie recommended him to Deep Purple, maybe because previously Joe Walsh recommended him as a replacement in the James Gang. He said in an interview on June 28, 1975, "I met Ritchie Blackmore about 2 weeks ago and he recommended me to the band. The thing is, I've never really listened to a lot of Deep Purple records, but when I joined the James Gang, it was a step forward, and Deep Purple are all amazing players, and it's another step for me. Ian Pace is an amazing drummer, and I have all the respect in the world for John Lord. I think I will be bringing out my own individuality with the band and bring some things out in them. The LP we're making will surprise a lot of people. We start recording on August 3rd in Munich." He also says, "No, I'm not worried about joining an English band. We all get along really well. The only complicated part is the business side. As far as the playing is concerned, it works out extremely well. We first played together in Los Angeles. I guess they were kind of doing auditions and they tried Clem Clenson and all kinds of people. I went down there with no sleep from the night before and I thought, well, if it happens, it happens." In a 1995 interview, Ritchie was asked if he recommended Tommy Bolin to Deep Purple. He denied, saying, "I didn't recommend Tommy Bolin. I was aware of him, and I think someone asked me about him, and I said, 'Oh, he's really good.' But like this last time, November of 1993, when I wanted to leave, I didn't just want to go and sink their ship. I wanted them to have time to find someone else. I think it was Coverdale who found him." However, Tommy Bolin once stated that he heard from Ritchie that he recommended him. This is what Tommy said. "It was weird because he said, 'I recommended you to the guys and I hear things are going great.'" Well, anyway, ex-Deep Purple vocalist and bassist Glenn Hughes revealed how they got Tommy in the band. According to Glenn, drummer Ian Pace was a big Billy Cobham fan. He came up with Tommy's name. He heard Spectrum, came over Glenn's house and played it for him. And then David Coverdale also heard it. "We were blown away," Hughes recalls. "I've always been interested in newer cutting-edge artists, and I was also into the look as well, and Tommy looked bizarre. Before this came up, I signed a deal with Nat Weiss, who manages John McLaughlin." Tommy said on June 28, 1975, "So I shall be doing my own LP in 2 weeks' time. I can exploit my own personal ideas and work with Purple too." His first solo album, Teaser, was recorded in July 1975 and released on November 17, 1975. And he hit the road with Deep Purple in November 1975. By the way, Van Halen often covered the song The Grind live in their early club days, and Motley Crue covered the song Teaser on their charity album Stairway to Heaven, Highway to Hell. Sounds awesome. Check it out, folks. On Tommy Bolin taking his place in Purple, Blackmore commented, "I don't envy Tommy Bolin for trying to take my place in Purple. He was a uniquely talented player, and it's unfortunate that he never had the chance to develop with the band the way that I did. His death was an incredible loss, not only for Deep Purple, but for guitar fans as well." According to Tommy, he hadn't heard Deep Purple's music much. He'd only heard Smoke on the Water and one other song. They gave him tapes, but he didn't listen to any because he didn't want to sound like Blackmore. On November 26, 1975, Tommy Bolin commented on Ritchie Blackmore. "Well, Ritchie, I mean, like Ritchie really, he's come and listened to the band, and stuff, and he really likes it a lot, which makes me happy. The only time I saw him was in California Jam thing. It was a TV thing. There was like a huge flamethrower thing or something like that, and somebody loaded it too much, and it about burnt Ritchie's britches off. And you could tell it on TV, it was like, but that's the only time I saw the band." When Tommy joined Deep Purple, he loved how amazing they were as musicians. He said, "I've done all-night sessions with John, Ian, Glenn, with each of them individually, and they're amazing players. Why they haven't stuck out, why Ritchie has stuck out more than the rest of them, I don't know." On replacing Blackmore in Deep Purple, Tommy commented, "I'd rather work than not. I was very lucky to be able to play in all those extremes. It was difficult following a guy like Ritchie Blackmore. When someone is the focal point of the group like he was, it's very hard to replace them. After a while, it just got to be pointless." When the tour began in December 1975, Tommy Bolin was asked, "What if someone shouts for Ritchie Blackmore?" And Tommy answered, "If someone yells, 'Where's Blackmore?' at one of his concerts, I'll do just what I did when people yelled, 'Where's Joe Walsh?' at me when I was in James Gang. I'll have cards printed up with his address and throw them out to the audience. We're a real family, and nothing's going to stop me now."